The first thing we're going to look at when we're talking about protection is cleansing and clearing your space. There are an endless different number of ways in which you can clear your space, but some of the ways we're going to talk about today are using things like California white sage. This is where you take some white sage, you set it on fire, you blow out the flames until it's just a burning ember that's smoking, and you set your intention. You ask for the space to be cleared and for a blessing to be placed on it. You start at one corner of the room and you work your way round the outside until you return to that same place in the room. If you feel energy, you will feel the room so much clearer and cleaner and calmer straight away. I use California white sage when I visit a new space for the first time, or when I feel that the space needs a deep, deep clean. Another way in which you can clear a space is by using some loud music, or a singing bowl, or perhaps beating a drum. If you have none of these things available, don't worry. If you simply have some rice or some pasta and an empty bottle, place them inside, close the lid, and I would advise wrapping a bit of sellotape around the end so that the lid doesn't come off while you're shaking it. If you then do the same as you did with the sage, or you would do with the sage, you start in one part of the room and walk round the outside wall of the room until you return back to the place where you started. And as you do, again, you set the intention to clear the space and you ask for a blessing to be placed on it. If you work with angels or spirit guides or whatever system you work in, you may ask to call on whoever it is you work with to clear the space for you, and you shake the bottle in a rattle motion just like you would shake a maraca. It is also a good idea when you're burning sage or you're rattling with a loud noise such as rice in a bottle that you shake the rice and burn the sage around your own personal space as well to make sure that you yourself are cleared of anything that needs to be cleared. If you are in a space that is not your own, or perhaps that you don't want to have smelling of sage, you may decide that you'd like to burn some incense. But ideally, in an environment where you're not allowed to burn candles or sage, a drum or a bottle of rice will work as effectively as ever. If you do Reiki, there is a technique where you stand in the center of the room, draw your symbols, set your intention, and then draw the symbols in each corner of the room, return to the center, and feel the energy spread out from the center of the room all the way out beyond the walls of that room to help clear the space for you. So why have I started a protection video with clearing a space? Well, if you think about it, if you're going to place protection either on yourself or in a room that you're about to do some spiritual activity in, then the last thing you want is to contain within that room any negativity. So by clearing the space and by clearing yourself, you're also releasing any negativity and you're creating a sacred space which is clean and clear before you place the protection on. So the next thing I would do is I would set my intention, maybe do an opening prayer, connect with whatever it is that you're about to work with, be it your spiritual healing, your Reiki guides, if you're going to do some mediumship or work with angels, whatever it is that you're about to do. Say your opening prayer, connect with them, attune to the energy, and then place on the protection. So you've set your intention that you want to work in a clean, safe environment, and now you're going to put on your protection. There are lots of different ways in which you can do this, and one way isn't any better than another. You'll need to find what is right for you. One of the ways in which you can do this is by using a power animal. So if you just stop for a moment and think to yourself, what animal, doesn't matter how big or how small, what is the first animal that comes to your mind when I ask you what is your protection animal? So don't be put off if the animal that came to your mind just then, maybe you already know your protection animal, but if you had an animal such as a rabbit or a tortoise or a snail even, every animal represents a different thing. They've all got different skills. And whatever you are needing in your life at that particular time, that is what a power animal brings to you. Now, I have in my spirit team a black dragon, and I love this black dragon. For me, having a ferocious, aggressive dragon as my protector is going to drive away anything which I would not want in my space. That is something that I would be fearful of if it was attacking me. However, as I learnt a few years ago, when I was working with the public and I was bringing in my dragon for protection for both me and the person I was working with, some people were intimidated by the energy of the dragon. So I had to then take a step back. And one of the things I used was a black cloak. Now, if you ever saw the advert for the Scottish Widows pension, the lady has this big black cloak on her and it has a hood. So now when I work with the general public, I will come forward and I will imagine I am putting on that black cloak and I'm pulling up the hood. And I will do the same for the person that's sitting in front of me. And in that way, I'm telling my guides that I want to be protected. But let's be honest, no person that's sitting in front of me will be afraid of a black cloak. The flip side of that is that I still use the dragon. The dragon for me is a wonderful creature. A few weeks ago, it was late at night, and spiritually I felt insecure. I don't know what caused it. It just felt like somebody was outside my house, or energetically they were looking into my space, and I felt as if they were intruding upon me. Now at this point, I called in my dragon straight away. I imagined him sitting on the roof of my house and wrapping his wings around my entire house. Within seconds, I knew I was completely protected and I knew I was safe. I felt content and I was happy to go back to sleep. So when I talk about protection, there are different levels of protection and there's different situations in which you would use it. If you are working with a client, you want them to be safe and you want yourself to be safe. And by that, I mean you don't want to be picking up any energy which they have within their life, which is maybe making them sad or unhappy, and take that home with you. There may be times you're in a room with somebody and you just simply don't like that person. You may not know why. You just know on a spiritual level that there's something about that person that you don't like their energy. So at that point, pull on your cloak, call in your dragon, call in your power animal, whatever it is that works for you. There are lots of different reasons to use protection. Like me, maybe you were scared and you don't know why. It's the middle of the night. Logically, there's no reason for it, but spiritually and in your gut, you know for some reason you need protection. And that's the point. You have different sources that you can call on spiritually, and you use whatever you need to make you feel better, to make you know that you are completely safe, completely protected, and that's how it works. Some people within the spiritual community believe that you get back what you put out. So because of this, you shouldn't focus on protection, because if you say to the universe you need protection, the universe will give you something to need protection from. However, I would argue the fact that we've all had that moment in our life where we have been challenged by whatever it might be it the person in the supermarket who walks past you and you get a shiver down your spine, be it the person who comes into your workplace and you just simply, at the core of you, know you don't like them. Why shouldn't you have the tools that put on the protection in order for you to feel safe in your own body? Let's be honest, if somebody was trying to kick down your door because they wanted to come and physically hurt you, you would lift the phone and you would phone the police and they would come and protect you. So the idea of this is that you have the tools when you need them. I have a friend who has a power animal of a wolf, and whenever there is spiritual danger, the wolf growls. She hears the wolf growl, and she knows that she needs to put on extra protection. So as a wise man once told me, if there's a chance of rain, you take an umbrella. As much as I might be talking about using protection for spiritual purposes, there are other ways in which you can use it in your everyday life. For example, if you are talking to somebody who is either quite upset or they have a lot of drama going on in their life, you may find that as they unburden to you, you take that burden home with you. You maybe feel sad for them, you want to help but you feel frustrated that you can't. Or you may feel that whatever their situation is so wrong that it makes you sad. Now, while you will have helped the person that has unburdened onto you, it is important to realise that you shouldn't take that home with you. So what can you do? Simply, as you sit down to speak with the person, place on your protection. You could ask Archangel Michael to step forward if you work with the angels. Ask him to protect you in a bubble of protection, but to allow the person to unburden onto you without anything in which they are unburdening to touch you yourself. This works very effectively, and you'll find that the person feels better when they're finished speaking to you, but there's no point in you taking away whatever negativity they are trying to unburden and bringing it home with you. So think how protection can work in your life where you need it the most. And imagine every morning if you start off by grounding yourself and protecting yourself before each day, how much better you will feel by the evening when you come home. Now, if you don't know how to ground yourself, I have done a separate video on that, but it's really good to ground yourself and protect yourself as soon as you get up in the morning, and it will benefit you throughout the entire day. This is especially important if you work in an environment where you're helping people or caring for people who aren't particularly positive in their outlook in life. So if you are working in a hospital where people are coming in sick the whole time, or maybe you're a counsellor and you're listening to people's problems, or maybe you're a bar person and you have people telling you their stories across the bar, put on your protection and ground yourself before you go to work, and this will help to keep your own personal energy clear. Thank you for watching this video and have a safe onward journey.